John Chen, and it's Monday. Welcome to the beginning of another week. And what project am I working on? Well, I'm excited too because we got a guest coming up who's involved with this project. But let's take a little bit look here. I have been working on this engaging conference. Oh, look, I get to match myself. The engaging conference. This is my 3-day conference. And we're going to share all the secrets of planning engagement. Things like conferences, summits, masterclasses. It's 3 days, October 23rd through the 25th. It's all online. And what you can do now is that you can come and join the conference. You can go to engagingvirtualmeetings.com/C or /CON con, and that will get you access to a 50% off ticket right now for this conference, as well as that there is a free ticket where you can access the live stream of the program, just like you're watching here now. Look at, I've got all these amazing people here. We've got 9 amazing speakers who are all presenting to you, experts on engagement, and that, of course, I'll be one of them. Now, let's see. I have one other thing to share here. Let's see if I got the right deck today. Is that oh, of course, my guest here is going to be on the show. And, oh yeah, here we go. So, coming up next is that I'm featuring on this podcast. She's going to be one of the speakers for the conference. Her name is Amanda Lea Kaiser, like the role. She just released her book called Elevating Engagement. I've interviewed her once, and so we're going to catch up with her and find out what's happening with her in using this book in the real world. Let's bring in the one and only Amanda Lea Kaiser. Hey, Amanda, how are you doing?
Hey, John, it's so great to be back.
Well, it's so great to have you here. So yeah, let's just go right off in the bat and let's engage some of our other people here who are watching with us. Amanda, thank you again too for presenting and keynoting at my conference. I'm so glad that over the course of time we've gotten a chance to meet. And so take a moment here to introduce yourself, who you are, and what you are doing in this amazing world.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. So, yes, I am an engagement expert, and I've conducted tons of qualitative research with professionals to find out how to engage them, in communities and in associations and in events. And so that's what we're going to be talking about during the conference. I'm a keynote speaker. I'm an author of this new little book, Elevating Engagement. And I'm super looking forward to October and your conference, John.
Well, I'm excited too because my book is getting a little dog-eared because it's been sitting in my backpack as I've been doing a little bit of traveling, and so that's been my opportunity to read through the book. So, what I really appreciate too is that you spend a little time. I invited you to our group, API Event Profs, where we're here to help elevate the experience for Asian Pacific Islanders in the event industry. And we're a new group, and we are, sometimes we struggle. That's like just to be a little vulnerable. We're on the struggle bus of trying to say not only how do we recruit new members, but engage them from the front end. And so let me ask this, Amanda. Now that you have the book out and you've been on the road a little bit speaking, what are some of the most common challenges that people are having in terms of the engagement that you're looking at? And again, I think you're looking for engagements from communities and associations and groups of people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, all kinds of things that you can see in your metrics, and then all kinds of things you can't see in your metrics. And that's what I'm trying to solve. So the things that you can see in your metrics when it comes to events are, like people aren't just logging on to your virtual events, or people aren't registering for your in-person events, or let's say they're coming to a virtual or hybrid event and they don't register, they don't participate, they don't come on, they don't chat. You can tell that they're multitasking. So we can see those things in our metrics. There's also that element that you can't see in the metrics, and that's the energy. So every community, every group of people, every time you gather people, there's an energy, and so what I'm trying to solve for is all of those things, getting people really engaged and to the point where they feel some belonging. They come to your events and they say, yeah, this is the home for me. I really love to be there.
Well, that factor is such a key part in the communities where if you get in there and you say, I feel like I'm at home, and I think that is so important, and it's still a little mythical. Like, some places have it, and some places really don't. So, like, what's the number one piece of advice that you've been giving people? And here, let me just share one that I took away from your book. I thought it was
Mhm.
great that it said you really identified like the first moment. Let's just start from the first moment. I joined something.
Yep.
And that first communication is so important. It's the same like in my virtual meetings, right? The first 5 minutes of a virtual meeting are the most important because it dictates, what somebody's going to think about the rest. And I didn't ever really apply that to joining an association. And you said that there's kind of two versions. One is that you join, they take the check, and there's nothing. And the other opposite end of the spectrum is like, here's every benefit we have, raw, right? And
Yes.
it's so true. I went
Yeah.
back and looked in my history and thought about it and going, it's so true that people do one or the other, and neither one is good, is what I read in your book. Is that about right, Amanda?
That's about right. Yeah. So there's tons of neuroscience about first impressions and why first impressions are so critical to engagement. The decision to engage is a very emotional decision, and first impressions are absolutely critical. So my advice for anybody who's running a conference or an event or a virtual event or getting a community started or wanting to engage new members or new attendees, one of the very first things you can do is you can look at all of your first impressions. So your first impression might be the landing page that they come to, and they're going to have other first impressions around the first emails that they get. And so you want to make those welcoming and warm and short, so that there's some advice there. First impressions the moment they log in, or when they're sitting in your waiting room, right? Or for in-person conferences, it's the getting ready. I'm packing for the conference. Do I know how to pack? Do I know where to go? All of that stuff. So you can kind of go through and map all of your first impressions, and then you can think about these first impressions are going to happen anyway. So why don't we figure out how to make them fun, meaningful, engaging. And when you start curating these first impressions for your attendees or your members or your community members, then you start getting something really special and really engaging.
Well, I want to shout out too that we got a good 7 or 8 people on with us live here, and most of the other views are people who watch us later. But thank you for those who are watching live. And again, feel free to chat us questions. I've got a very specific question for you. So, Amanda, I got a piece of good news for you.
Yes. What?
I have just become the president-elect for the National Speakers Association's Northwest chapter here in Seattle.
That's awesome.
And thank you. And now I want to ask you, right, which is this will be my first presidency in this organization. What are some of the first communications or impressions that I should make as a new leader to the group?
So it's depend. That is a loaded question because it's very dependent, right? It's dependent on what kind of organization you are. So we can talk about tactics, and then we can talk about something else that I want to make sure that I get to. So very quickly on the tactics, you have 15 tactics available to you, and actually I did some research with this on with some really great partners. They're dynamic benchmarking, and so 4 years ago we wanted to find out what makes onboarding programs tick for member organizations, and do onboarding programs actually help new member engagement. And it turns out, after doing 2 rounds of the research, we found out that onboarding programs are absolutely critical to engaging new members. And so you might want to look at that piece of research. And in fact, I think you have looked at that piece of research. And in there's a chart of 15 different tactics that organizations use to engage new members. So it's just like you were saying, emails and text messages and welcoming people at events. And so even though this is targeted to new members, I think there's a lot to learn from that as we start talking to all members. And you, as taking this role, there might be some thoughts here for you. The thing that I really want to get to is, no matter how you are reaching out to your members and talking to them as president-elect and then president, is is think about there's kind of two parts of communications. There's the what you want to say, and then there's the how you say it, right? And so I always like to delineate those two because we're always whenever we, and I do this all the time, whenever I'm talking to somebody or whenever I'm writing an email, I'm so focused on what I want to say. But the thing that people remember is how you said it. So that's, the tone you use, or some people call that voice. And so, think about that tone that you're using with members. And for me, I always think about, how do I want my members to feel, or how do I want my attendees to feel? How do I want people who are coming to my keynote, how do I want them to feel? And then once I identify, those words, like I want them to feel joyful or hopeful or happy, or whatever those words are, then that'll help you change your tone. So I think bottom line is there's so many ways to reach your members, and just keep thinking about how you're saying what you're saying to them.
Hopefully here, wait, I think I actually finally found it. Give me 1 second here. Okay, here we go. These are the 15 tactics.
Yes.
At the
Yes.
bottom is text. Despite having 100% read rate, these are like very few associations are using it, but still email, even in 2022 too, I thought this was an interesting point of view. You're saying it's even more effective, or at least mostly used. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah, email for engaging new members is nearly ubiquitous with associations.
Yes.
And then a lot of associations are making phone calls. Although what we were trying to do is we were trying to show how some tactics are tailing off and some tactics are picking up. So 4 years ago, associations were sending out these huge welcome kits in the mail to members. And you're seeing a lot less of that now. But there's some other things that are starting to pick up, like there's these new member committees, or new member ambassadors, and so it's sort of like, if any of you used a buddy system with your conferences, so a longtime attendee gets matched up with a brand new attendee, it's very much the same for communities. A longtime member gets matched up with a brand new member, and it's their job to welcome them and make them feel at home, maybe introduce them around, answer some of their questions. It's very lovely when you see that in action.
Well, the key here too is that this is just the orange bar says is what they're using, right?
Yes.
This has actually, though, like I got to ask you about what's being most effective. But here in this case, I see here new member engagement, new member ambassador is saying that nobody did it 4 years ago, and now lots of people are starting to do it. Like you're saying, this is an emerging new practice.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then we do have charts in there about effectiveness. And so everybody's using email, and email is relatively effective, more so for professional associations and trade associations. And then there are some tactics in there that appear not to be as effective, or maybe we just haven't figured out how to leverage them. So monthly virtual member orientations, that was the one tactic where the people who are doing it find it extremely effective. And so if that's something that, is not happening at your organization, that's something to think about, because people rank that extremely, extremely effective.
So in this case, right, I love that what you've always said about tone and feel, because you start with the place like I want to do this, right? But then you go back and it's slightly different if you sit back in the seat and saying, now I was one of you. Now what do I want to hear at this point? Right? Because when you're in the other seat, if you're in this seat, you're like, I have 20 things I want to tell you. But if you really think about it, it's like I only want to hear three. And
Right.
I only hear the most important three. And so let me just go back to this National Speakers Association. Like the
Yep.
delivery mechanism, though, could be a video because they're so used to watching speakers. That's a place where, even though the video was not used by a lot of groups, by using it, it would be a medium that they know, love, and care about.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
right?
You've got so many options to you. Absolutely. Video, email. I mean, verbal, text, all of that stuff. Absolutely. And yeah, so I think any of those could be super, super effective.
So let's go into that. What are you going to talk about here in this keynote? So I'm going to give you an hour and 55 minutes, right? Like I
Yes.
think too, isn't that like almost twice as long as most of the time you get in a keynote?
Yeah, absolutely. Usually in keynotes, I have about 45 to about 55 minutes, sometimes even a little bit less till, welcome remarks and all of that. So this is super exciting because we get to dive deep on information. So, okay. So this is what we're going to be talking about. In my research, um, one of the things that I noticed members talk about all the time and attendees talk about all the time is I would ask them about the value of the conferences. I would ask them about the value of their organization or of their community, and always what they would tell me is a story. And their story was always it was based on an experience. Very few members can say, "Hey, I even know what one or two of the organization's benefits are," and the organization might have 37 different benefits. And a lot of members, even 20-year members, are hard pressed to say, "Oh yeah, I can remember what one or two of these benefits are." So when I ask them about the value of the organization, they always go back to experiential things, and they'll talk about when they're a brand new member and they went to a reception for the first time, and a longtime member took the initiative to walk up to them and start talking to them, and the profound impact that had on them. And then they'll sort of wind up that story by saying, and that's just what kind of organization this is. This community, the NSA, this is my professional home. This is my intellectual family. They'll say words like that because people do stuff like that. So it's not the value in the way that we professionals necessarily think about it. We don't, our value is our education, and it's our networking, and it's our, all of this. And what people are talking about are experiences. That's what they value. So we're going to go all in on experiences during my session. And we're going to collaborate, and we're going to work on developing the experiences by different segments of attendees. And we'll talk about how value and experiences work together. We'll talk about the anatomy of positive experiences, and we'll do some fun brainstorming, ideating, co-creating in a different kind of format than maybe what you're used to, and come up with a ton of really fun and innovative things to try that you can try tomorrow. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm super excited.
So what's some of the, I know you do also do a lot of consulting with groups and associations. What's like one of the wins that you saw, like an association that was seriously having some trouble and you came in and were able to help them out in some unique way?
Yeah, so we one of the things that I love to talk about is new members. So you can't have lifelong engagement without having new member engagement. And so I know a lot of associations are taking the results from the new member engagement study, and they're integrating that in. And so some associations are changing their single welcome email from, the long list of everything that we offer to more of a new member email campaign, where they're sending out emails, drip by drip, very, very short emails, very, very easy, accessible, and folks are reading those and engaging even more. I was talking to you about the virtual orientation events, these monthly new member virtual orientation events. More and more associations are adopting that, and they're finding really big, wins in this, very responsive, very personable meeting where their new members are connecting with the association, but also connecting with other new members. They're not just watching a static webinar; they're connecting with other people in the room, and that seeds the feelings of belonging. There's very recently, I had somebody tell me that they were so excited after one of my keynotes that they immediately decided to band together and do a new member ambassador program for their association. So I feel like people are grabbing bits and pieces out of my speaking and out of the books and using it, and they're seeing some really great wins.
Do you have a top tool for email sequence then? I know you work with a lot of different associations. I'm curious because a new member needs to get input in the system and then they get dripped, something like that. What are some of the top tools you've seen to do that?
So one that I've really got my eye on that I'm super excited about is Prop Fuel. So one of the Prop Fuel, they call themselves the conversational engagement company, and so this is sort of an interesting thing. So some associations have members that join, at a particular milestone. So they're student nurses. And then they know that for student nurses, they know every single career milestone for those student nurses and they know the timing of it and everything. And so they're able to drip exactly that little bit of information that student nurse needs exactly when she or he needs it. Except except most organizations aren't like that. People are joining at, from all different professions and all different levels of the hierarchy. And in your case, you're going to have, some speakers who are just starting out and some speakers who have been doing it for 20 years, right? So there's, so much variation in there. What PropFuel does is PropFuel allows you to send emails where you ask questions and you say, hey, new member, what are your goals? What are you interested in? What are you challenged with? And then the member can select exactly. It's a decision tree method. And so I find that really interesting. So it's propfuel.com. If you happen to talk to anybody there, mention, let them know that I sent you. But they're a really great team doing some really important, interesting work.
It's going all back to SelectQuest as an engagement technique.
Yes, right. That's right.
Choose your own adventure.
Right, choose your own adventure. Yes.
You give me good ideas for that. Okay, great. That's so great. I just wanted to share, it's so cool that there are some associations, like National Speakers Association is now just celebrated its 50 years.
Ooh, yay.
One of its key aspects is what's called the spirit of Cavett. Cavett Roberts was the founder of, and one of the 8 founders, and they gave him an award. It's called the Spirit of Cavett, and it just says these are speakers helping speakers. And I got to listen recently one who's he has a celebration of life. He entered hospice, and he said, "I want to be at my own celebration of life." What a cool idea! And someone said, he goes, this is a Spirit of Cavett. She came up and said, she goes, his name was Bob. Bob came in. Something tragic happened in her life. She goes, I could not make it to this keynote. And I called him and he immediately flew to this other city and spoke on my behalf. Mm-hmm. And she goes, that's a Spirit of Cavett. That's when there's a family, when you're not just competing for the same speaking, that there's someone there who has your back, and then they help what they call on the craft and the business. They helped on the craft and the business of speaking, and that's why people join and that's why people stay for a long time. With that, Amanda, let me just see. What's the one thing that you see in the future for elevating engagement? What's like the one thing, like if you told people, like what's coming down the pipe that you think is going to be the cool new thing in elevating engagement?
Ooh, the cool new thing. When I look at companies like PropFuel and how they're able to personalize and make things relevant, yes. I'm very, very excited to see what happens with AI. I know there's dangers with AI and there's mistakes that AI is making and all of that. But you kind of think about, what happens in the infancy of technology and then what happens when there's like mass adoption and all of the stuff gets ironed out later. And so I'm envisioning a time when new members can come right in and know exactly where to go. I'm envisioning a time when conference attendees sign up and they get these custom itineraries of all of the things they're definitely supposed to see,
itinerary, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's the shiny new part. The other part is I'm on a mission. So ever since I wrote this book, I've been running around the country and I've been trying to make audience and participants CEOs. And when I talk about people being CEOs, I'm saying my definition of CEO is Chief Experience Officer. And so I know in normal organizations, you can only have one CEO. I want everybody to be a CEO. I want everybody from accounting to research departments to everybody in events. I want everybody to become a CEO, a Chief Experience Officer. because I believe that this focus on experiences is going to augment our already focus on value and make all of our events and all of our communities so much more engaging.
Well, here's my gift to you and listening to you right now. Maybe CEO just really means Chief Everyone Officer.
Oh, I love that. That's great. Did you
Yeah,
just come up with that, or have you been saying that for a
oh
long
no,
time?
I just literally I came up with this right now, and I can see now on the slide where you change everyone, and then after you get everyone to say you're the CEO, then say Chief Experience Officer, you get the word everyone to morph into the word experience, and now you've got the heart. The heart of that. Speaking of the heart, while she writes that down, you know what? If you are here with us, let's do this. Here we go. Yeah, hey, subscribe, share, like, or comment here. Thanks for all the people who are watching with us. We appreciate you. You know, again, coming up here, come see Amanda here at the engagement conference. We got Amanda plus 10. Right, to gain the secrets of planning engagement, whether it's in person, hybrid, or virtual. I got to tell you, it's basically the same, and then they're all having problems. I just went to an in person conference, Amanda, and it had some engagement problems. Imagine that. So all you got to do is go here. Good, engagingvirtualmeetings.com/CON, and you will get the discount code built into that link. All these amazing speakers, like people like this, and of course, come here and see Amanda Lea Kaiser in elevating engagement there. Amanda, what is the last message? If somebody says, I'm not coming to this conference, I'm too busy. Amanda, what's the last thing you would tell them?
Oh gosh, you almost can't afford to not come to this conference, right? I mean, um, there's so many opportunities. Okay, so even if you think about how engagement affects a bottom line, it's worth it to learn how to be more engaging, learn how to make your conferences more engaging, learn how to make your communities more engaging. But we can do more. I feel like as event professionals and community professionals and volunteer leaders, we can do more. We can engagement is, like I said before, it's a very emotional thing. And when people are making a decision to engage, they're saying, I want to be part of this other community. I want to be part of a community of professionals like me. That's maybe like the first layer of engagement. But then they're saying, but then I want to make friends. Like these people in this community, they could be friends of mine. And then, these are, and then three would be like, this group is the family that I chose, right? So I encourage you to come and listen to me and all of these other great speakers, because we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about how engagement hits your bottom line, but even better is how engagement fosters belonging in community. And that's super worthwhile today. People need community.
And that, Amanda, the pandemic clearly showed, how important we are as humans, that we're connection creatures, and that you look for that. And associations is a great way to sometimes make that lifelong friend. And if you wanted to hit the bottom line too, recently, Amanda, someone who I friended through an association, like I didn't ask, they came up and say, I want to be your mentor. Somebody who is 4 decades, like normally they would charge thousands of dollars in their coaching programs to get you in, and they just said, "Look, John, I just picked you, okay, and I just want to personally help you with like no option." I'm like, so blown away, Amanda. That sometimes is the value of elevating engagement. Amanda, thank
Yeah.
you so much, and make sure that again you come back here to the conference. All you got to do is see Amanda here, right, and register right here. Again, it's engagingvirtualmeetings.com/CON for conference. Thank you, Amanda, and I look forward to seeing you on October 23rd through 25th.
Great. Thank you, John.
All right, again, I'm John Chen here, and this has been an Engaging Virtual Meeting podcast with the one and only Amanda Lea Kaiser, like the role, that's how I remember her name. And so make sure and register if you want to see more of her, especially the 2 hours she's really designed for you to extract how to elevate your engagement in whatever group, conference, summit, masterclass that you might be in. We'll look forward to seeing you next time, and I'll see you on October 23rd through 25th at the Engaging Conference. See you there.
Don't we start people and keep old people? Show you got heart.